Alright, hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So this week's video topic was served to me on a gold platter, if you will. I'm scrolling through my feed and I follow Adult Swim on Instagram and I see their post, Adult Swim has ended its association with Justin Roiland. Rick and Morty will continue. The talented and dedicated crew are hard at work on season 7. Now, I had no clue who that was. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I don't know the ins and outs of all this TV production stuff and just how things collab and go together. I don't know the network that way, which I am so happy to be learning now. So I gave it a goog and I just went down this rabbit hole of Justin Roiland and about his life and stuff like that. And I wanted to do a video on the scandal because I really love Rick and Morty. A big fan, love the series, one of my most favorite adult animated TV shows. So I was like, yes, this is it. This is what I have been destined to do. So, just in case you're like me and you have no idea who that is, or you just don't really know too much about him, he is the co creator, CEO, and writer, voice actor of Rick and Morty, among other adult animated series like Solar Opposites, The Koala Man, things like that. He also did some voice acting for other shows such as Gravity Falls, Invincible, and just was working on a lot of other projects. Some of you may know this one. It's called Squanch Games. It's a virtual reality studio. He's the one that started up that thing, and now it's just kind of like all going down the drain. All of these projects have stated that they are going to continue on without him, so everything's still going to be in production, everything's still going to come out. Recasting for these shows is definitely going to happen. Obviously, it's still pending, it's unknown who is going to voice these characters, but everything's still going to come out. They're still in contract with, like, for example, Rick and Morty is signed on for 10 seasons and they're working on season 7. So, yeah, everything's still gonna come out. Everything's still, they gotta do it for the fans. And yeah, so, yeah, it's just really disappointing to hear and see what's happening. Alright, with all that being said, let me set the scene for you guys. So, back in August 2020, Roiland was arrested and charged with felony domestic battery and false imprisonment by menace, violence, fraud, and/or deceit. Now, if you're like me, I didn't really understand what those words meant, so I googled it. Shout out to shouslaw.com, Michael Becker, for these definitions. So, false imprisonment has a simpler definition, so I'm going to go ahead and define that one first. So, definition of false imprisonment, according to lawyer terms, the state of being imprisoned without legal authority. So, he basically kept this person hostage using aggressive tactics. Now, domestic battery is willfully inflicting unlawful physical force on a current or former intimate partner. Now, you might hear me say the word corporal injury. Now, that's just a legal term for physical injuries. So now with that out of the way, let's continue. Now, after being arrested and charged with these felonies, Roiland was released on bail of $50,000 after pleading not guilty to all charges. Now there's a pretrial which is scheduled for April 27th of 2023. Now going back a little bit, Roiland had been charged in May 2020 for an incident that occurred in January around the 19th of 2020 in Orange County. Now this occurred with an anonymous woman Roiland was dating at the time. She then filed for a protective order, which is just a restraining order, in October 2020, which prohibited Roiland from going within 100 feet of said person. Now, after reading all these articles about it, after doing this research, at this point, I'm thinking, okay, Roiland is being accused of domestic violence. He physically did something to this woman, and now it's all coming out. Like, the networks wanted to keep it under wraps, so that's why we're not really finding about it, or it's not blowing up until, recently. So that's what I was thinking. Like, wow, he did this. This is so wrong. That's pretty much almost everybody's immediate thought. But here is where it gets interesting. According to T. Edward Wellborn, Justin's lawyer, Justin is innocent. And here is a direct quote from Justin's lawyer. Quote, "It is hard to overstate how inaccurate the recent media coverage of this situation has been. To be clear, not only is Justin innocent, but we also have every expectation that this matter is on course to be dismissed once the district attorney's office has completed its methodical review of the evidence. We look forward to clearing Justin's name and helping him move forward as swiftly as possible. End quote. Now, of all the articles I read, of all the research I went through, I didn't see any evidence. There was nothing be released. Like I said, the woman in question, the person in question, is anonymous. So I don't know what to think anymore. We all know a lot of shady shit goes on with the government and like with, especially with situations like this, behind the scenes. We don't know what really happened. And so I hope everything gets cleared. I hope whatever happens, is for the best, because I really don't know what to think anymore. Obviously, he could be guilty, he could be innocent, and we won't know for a while. So, or hey, we might know tomorrow. I'm not sure. Because at this point, without any hard evidence, it's really a he said, she said story. Obviously, the restraining order was filed. That could be evidence. So I'm curious to see what happens, especially because all these projects, maybe the networks know something we don't. It's always a possibility. They wanted to keep it under wraps for a reason. And so they cut ties with Justin completely. All the productions that he was working on they're going to continue without him. So I'm really curious to see how this plays out. Maybe it'll die, we all know how the internet is. There's literally like child molesters and just predators out there, and everything just gets brushed under the rug. So I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happens with this case as well. Actually, speaking of that, one of my mutuals on Instagram, thank you by the way for this information, told me that he said some very suspicious things about a 16-year-old. And so I did some digging on that, and what I found was just repulsive. Editor Oogie here. So I went through everything and I just thought it was just one case, but no. I did research on one article and I decided to look at more, and I found like so many other cases about this guy, and there's actually so much more stuff going on that I did that I found that I did not know of. So I tried to get as much stuff as I could just to give you guys a full outlook on how this person is, how Justin is. And I just grabbed a handful. So screenshots were shared, but then the account that shared them, the original account, took them down and went private. However, another Twitter handle at Marty America USA shared the alleged leaked messages between said 16-year-old and Roiland. And here's a direct quote from said 16-year-old. Quote, "On September 2015, Justin Roiland followed me on Twitter. I was 16. Of course, I was so excited because I loved Rick and Morty at the time. So I messaged him first and we started talking every now and then. Some of it very casual, but some parts were 100% weird." End quote. So I read these screenshots. I'll share them with you guys as we go. So Roiland was using slurs, asking said 60-year-old to go to a sex slavery before calling her a stupid F-word slur, F-A-G, bitch, and ending the message with a "just kidding." Now this came off very weird to her, and she also said that, here's another direct quote from her about how young she looks. Quote, "Only a few messages in he said this. Bear in mind that I was 16 and very obviously looked young. Blonde hair and braces. I was just seen as a fantasy to most." End quote. He also called her jailbait before saying, quote, "You should grow older, you dumb bitch." End quote. Now, can I just say here, why is the first instant message, "Oh, you dumb bitch, you dumb ugly bitch"? Why is that the first thing guys say when they don't get what they want, when they're trying to insult women? I don't get it. I've been called a dumb fat bitch before, and I just kind of laugh because it's what goes through your mind? What makes you you clearly have issues if you're saying this to people. I just don't understand why that's the automatic first thing that's said. He could very clearly go find someone his own age and, be in a happy, healthy relationship. He's famous. He has a really good career. He's up there. He's very well, he's known. He could literally go find anybody his age that he wants and wants him back. And no, he decides to go after minors. And when he finally does find someone, well, I don't really know the person, but I'm pretty sure she was his age if they were in a consenting adult relationship, and she filed for that restraining order. He found someone and he still allegedly did not treat her right. Like, what's your problem? What is going on? By the way, everybody, this is all alleged, okay? Yes, there's screenshots, there's proof. I'm just gonna say this is all alleged because the user of this said allegedly these were leaked. The article said allegedly these were leaked, so alleged. Now, after this incident, more and more things just started popping up about Justin. So, in one of them, Justin asked the user to get a Morty tattoo on her boob, licking her chocolate chips, shall we say. What the fuck even? Who asked that? Why do grown ass men say such weird things to people that they find attractive, to minors, to any but like I've noticed, especially with EDP, he said so many like weird, just odd things to his victims, and it's like, what? Where do you come up with this? What makes you think that this is okay to say to someone? Like, they say the weirdest, most fucked shit, and it's like, why? It's gross, it's disturbing, it's just all around disgusting. Justin has been accused of sexually exploiting people, including minors, and just all around whoever he can make his victim, honestly. He said in an interview on a podcast, which is, I think this is the incident my mutual on Instagram was telling me about. So on the podcast, Grandma's Virginity Podcast, which is kind of a weird name, in 2011, he said he could be getting laid every day if he could go back and be a fourth grader, since that would be legal too. He also said, quote, 100 years ago, it was little 13-year-old girls. If they were built like a woman, they were getting married and having kids. And now we're going to be all precious about it, end quote. I hate when people do this. They use the past to manipulate and back up what they're saying now. It's like, yeah, they did that 100 years ago. We changed that shit because it wasn't working. It's fucked. It's not good. It reminds me of those types of people that are like, oh, men should be like how they were back in the day. Oh, are you talking about the 1900s where they were beating their wives? Are you talking about all these toxic qualities that people had back then and some people still have nowadays? It's like, why are we referring back to the past where everything was right when it wasn't right? What are we doing? No, scratch that. Not what are we doing? What are you doing claiming this? We need to go back to past times. Everything was nicer back then. No, it wasn't. No, it was not, okay? There's a reason why we don't do things how we did back then. Now, if my sources are correct, as of the day I'm recording this video, Justin still hasn't responded to these screenshots, and so do it that what you will. I'm honestly not surprised. Now, moving on to a different case that all this was going on about. He blamed alcohol for his behavior, which is just typical. I don't think alcohol doesn't do anything to you. Alcohol just brings out your true feelings, honestly. I've been around alcoholics for quite an extended amount of years in my life, and it doesn't make you say or do anything that you don't already feel or think. Alcohol doesn't turn you into a predator. Trust me, y'all. I've seen cases like this before where the person blames alcohol. I grew up with an alcoholic parent, so alcohol does not make you anything. It just brings out your true feelings. Now, continuing. Jana Waters. I am hoping I'm pronouncing this name correctly. So Jana Waters was contacted by Justin on Twitter when she was 16, calling her insanely hot. She also allegedly, this is alleged, claimed that Justin had a predatory scout named Christy, and that's all it said, it just said Christy. Christy, who used to find young girls who looked a certain way for Justin. So I guess our Justin here has a type, huh? This whole thing right here reminds me of Big Ed from 90 Day Fiancé. If you know who he is, if you're familiar with 90 Day Fiancé lore, then you know exactly who I'm talking about and you know exactly what I'm talking about. He Asian girls, and he thinks that they're so attractive, and he's also a predator. He goes after younger girls. He is in his 50s, okay, ladies and gentlemen, and he is going after girls that are younger than his daughter, and his daughter is in her late 20s, I believe. So just disgusting, and it's gross. And Big Ed is also known for being a predator, being a groomer, and he uses his job, a photographer, to basically prey on these women. And it's just, he's a disgusting human being. I don't like him at all. He's a narcissist, he's a coward, he's a gross human being. And based off what the other girl said, she said blonde hair, 16, braces, young. I guess he has a type for white girls. So if you're a white girl, steer clear of Justin. There is also claims of him using his victims' sexual trauma to groom them. So this is typical predator behavior. They want to build that trust. They want to exploit your vulnerability. They want to do that so they can get closer to you. And one of them claimed that he did this, and instead of helping them with their sexual trauma, he groomed them instead. So that's that, I guess. Now, obviously, I'll explain right here. If you're confused, I recorded the first half of this video talking about the domestic abuse charges before I knew about all of this predator, stuff going on. So that's why my opinion was like, well, stuff that like yada yada yada. I don't know. And now it's very, very possible. It's very, very, not possible. I should say it's very, very likely that he did do something to this person. And I really wonder why his lawyer said, oh, he's innocent, with all this stuff against him. I don't know how his lawyer can claim that or anything. Like, obviously, that's the attorney's job to prove your client is innocent. But with all this stuff against him and just knowing how he is now, I don't know, man. You got your work cut out for you. I guess we'll see what happens April 27th, 2023, when his trial is in motion and after it's all said and done. So, yeah. Anyways, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's a little different than what I normally do on here. This was kind of a bit of a heavier topic, so I hope you enjoyed it. And I guess I will see you all in the next one. Alright, bye guys.